My beloved child, come and sit with me for a while, because the world has spoken to you loudly for far too long, telling you that your worth must be earned, that your life must be impressive, that love is conditional, and peace is something you chase only after everything else is finished. And I know how deeply tired your heart has become from trying to live up to a story that was never written for you in the first place. I see you in the quiet moments when no one else is watching, when your smile fades and your thoughts grow heavy, when you wonder if a good life is something meant for others, but somehow always just out of reach for you. And it is there, in that honest and unguarded place, that I want you to listen carefully as I speak to you, not with judgment, not with disappointment, but with a tenderness that has always known your name. When I said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," I was not praising weakness or failure. I was gently inviting you to stop carrying the exhausting burden of self-sufficiency. Because the moment you admit that you cannot hold everything together on your own is the moment your heart finally opens wide enough to receive the love that has been waiting patiently for you all along, never demanding that you prove yourself before being held. The world has taught you to hide your need, to mask your fear, to turn your prayers into performances. But I cherish the moments when your words fall apart and all you can offer me is a quiet sigh or a whispered plea. Because that honesty is more precious to me than the most eloquent faith built on pride. And in that sacred emptiness, I come close and fill you gently, not with answers, but with my presence. When I said, "Blessed are those who mourn," I was speaking directly to the part of you that still aches for what was lost, for what never came, for the version of life you once imagined and had to grieve in silence. And I want you to know that your sorrow has never been an inconvenience to me, because I do not rush your healing or turn away from your tears, but sit beside you, holding every unspoken grief with a love that does not grow weary. You have been told that a good life is a happy one, but I tell you that a good life is a truthful one, where pain is not denied or hidden but gently carried, and where comfort does not mean forgetting what hurt you, but learning that even in your brokenness, you are still deeply and completely loved beyond measure. When I said, "Blessed are the meek," I was speaking to your quiet strength, to the way you choose gentleness in a world that rewards aggression, to the times you could have hardened your heart, but instead kept it soft, even when that softness left you vulnerable, misunderstood, or overlooked. And I want you to hear me clearly when I say that your gentleness has never been wasted. Meekness is the courage to trust me with justice instead of taking it into your own trembling hands. The strength to remain kind when cruelty would be easier, and the humility to know that you do not need to dominate or defend yourself endlessly in order to be seen by me, because I have always known exactly who you are. When I said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness," I was naming the deep restlessness within you that refuses to settle for a life of distraction and surface-level comfort, the longing that stirs in you when you see injustice, dishonesty, or emptiness and quietly ache for something more true, more whole, more aligned with love. That hunger is not something to silence or be ashamed of, because it is the echo of my heart within yours, drawing you toward a goodness that cannot be bought, rushed, or faked. And I promise you that every sincere longing for what is right will be met, not all at once, but steadily and faithfully, until your soul is nourished in ways the world could never provide. When I said, "Blessed are the merciful," I was speaking tenderly to your wounds, to the memories that still sting, to the betrayals that taught you to be careful with your trust. And I know how difficult it feels to even consider mercy when your heart remembers so clearly the pain it endured. But hear me now. Mercy is not forgetting what hurt you. It is choosing not to let that hurt have the final word over who you become. Each time you loosen your grip on resentment, even slightly, you make room for healing to breathe. And in that quiet release, you begin to feel freedom return to places that have been tense for far too long. Because the good life is not built on keeping score, but on learning how to let love move through you again. When I said, "Blessed are the pure in heart," I was not asking you to be flawless or untouched by struggle, but inviting you into a life of sincerity, where your inner world no longer has to perform for the outer one, where your intentions are gently aligned with love, and where your heart slowly learns to rest in truth rather than image. A pure heart is a heart that chooses honesty over appearance, devotion over distraction, and love over ego. And as your heart becomes simpler, your vision becomes clearer, until you begin to notice me not only in moments of worship, but in ordinary days, quiet obedience, and small acts of faithfulness that shape a truly good life. When I said, "Blessed are the peacemakers," I was speaking to your desire for harmony, to your longing to heal rather than divide. And I know how heavy that calling can feel when peace costs you pride, comfort, or the satisfaction of being right. But every time you choose understanding over hostility, you carry my peace into a world that desperately needs it. And finally, when I said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness," I was preparing you for the moments when choosing love would feel lonely, when kindness would not be celebrated, and when faithfulness would quietly cost you something. And I want you to know that in those moments, you are not abandoned, but deeply aligned with a love that runs deeper than approval. So now, my beloved, let me answer the question your heart keeps asking in the stillness. A good life is not one without sorrow, struggle, or sacrifice, but one where you are never alone in them. A life rooted in trust, shaped by compassion, and guided gently by love, even when the path feels uncertain. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are not forgotten. You are held. You are seen. And you are becoming, slowly and beautifully, everything you were created to be. And I am with you, now and always, whispering peace into your restless heart until you finally learn to rest in me.